Hello and welcome to the CX Files for June 11th, 2026. My name is Mark Hillary and I'm in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
And I'm Peter Ryan in Montreal. Mark, good to see you, and great that we're finally getting into, I think, the throes of what's going to be vacation time. It's been a long first half of the year, and I can't wait for a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, well, and my daughter is going to be off school for the whole of July for the winter holidays here. And I guess what we will probably do is carry on running with this for about another month, and then we'll take a break for the summer ourselves.
Nice, nice. So in Brazil, for school holidays, is it just 1 month over the course of July, August? Because I remember growing up in Canada, we got about 2.5 months off.
Yeah, they also get the whole of January as well. So from
Okay,
just before Christmas right through to the end of January is the summer holiday.
nice,
Um,
nice.
and it's a bit different. I don't know about Canada, but in the UK, we start school in September. It goes from
Hmm.
September through to the summer, and then you have a long break for the summer, and then you start school again. As the summer ends in September. But in Brazil, it's pretty much it's the calendar year. You
Okay,
start your
interesting.
new school year is at the beginning of the year.
I actually think there's a lot of advantages to that. And I know that there was a proposal, God, going back a few decades in one of the provinces in Canada to adopt a similar type thing. So students would go to school for roughly 2.5 months and then have maybe a 3-week break and then go back for another 2.5 months. And you wouldn't actually get that definitive summer vacation off. And I generally thought that there was a lot of good logic to that. But I guess, scholastic management, it differs location to location. There's never like a one set formula that works perfectly. Everywhere has its own way of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going off on this down this rabbit hole because we started talking about taking a break for the summer. But we should probably talk about our guest this week because this is an interesting topic here. We're talking about AI, but I called up Guillaume Luccisano, who runs a company called Yuma AI. He's based in Boston, Massachusetts. Um, but as you might guess from his name, he's actually from France. So he's transplanted himself in the US to take advantage of the technology community that's over there. Now, I follow Guillaume on LinkedIn, and he's often quite negative about the BPO community. And he's essentially got a sort of futuristic vision of essentially AI automating most customer interactions. But it was interesting that when I expected to have a conversation with him and to record him just saying that the BPOs are all finished. But when we did actually start digging into it in detail and as part of the interview, it was clear that I think it was much more subtle. There was an idea that the BPOs actually do a lot more than just answer phone calls, and so that framework, the institutional framework, the regulatory compliance work, it was clear that everything is changing in this industry, but there's still a role for BPOs if they can change, if they can adapt and integrate AI into the service offering that they have.
So I'm really interested in listening to this. In full disclosure, I've not heard the interview yet, and I will certainly pick it up immediately when it drops, Mark. But I'm anxious to hear Guillaume's points of view for a variety of reasons. One, we hear a lot of criticism about BPOs, and this happened at CX Outsourcer, and it was nailed down when we had our commercial panel about all of them going and running out and telling the world that they have AI, but not being specific. And I think that's a very valid criticism. At the same time, I think what I'm going to be looking for in this interview that you do with Guillaume is a sense from him, a blueprint or a path forward about what they need to be doing with AI. It's fine to say they need to be incorporating AI. They need to be doing this and that with AI. I think a lot of BPOs have already included tools that are AI powered. I don't know what more they're supposed to do, though. And this is something that the industry needs to be a lot more specific about it. It's getting down to the brass tacks about you can have the technology, AI technology can empower, it can accelerate, it can render different tools more accurate. But once it's implemented, what more are they supposed to do? Are obviously you want to evolve the technology, you want to bring it in, but at the end of the day, specificity and being specific is what's going to count here, not broad statements about incorporate AI, use AI, because like I say, both enterprises and BPOs are already bringing these tools or AI powered tools into play. So it's going to be interesting to hear his point of view and the direction he thinks that the providers on the BPO side especially need to go if they're going to be more relevant and pertinent to prospective clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, at the end of the day, what we're talking about really is, can BPOs become like systems integrators? If you remember how a lot of technology companies, companies like IBM, for example, instead of just selling their own equipment, they became experts at pulling together equipment, software, and selling solutions essentially. So I think that's really what we're talking about, is where the BPOs need to evolve to. And let's face it, it probably does require less headcount than the big BPOs that have got hundreds of thousands of people. So I think that there's a lot of change coming. I think that what we've seen in the last couple of years has been people just talking about the end for this industrial sector. But I think, certainly it's a lot more subtle and a lot more complex.
But it didn't work when the BPOs or a lot of them tried getting into the whole SI thing, or when system integrators started getting into the idea about providing outsourced services. One of the things that I'm very concerned about is the extent to which BPOs feel the need that they have to be a jack of all trade and master of none. And I'll go back to CXO again, and I promise it'll be the last time I do this on the episode. But the big comment that we kept hearing about in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago is that BPOs need to become as niche as possible. They need to become subject matter experts, whether it's a function, whether it is a vertical market, whether it's a specific technology. The idea, unless you're a mega big BPO, about selling technology or crafting it into an enterprise CX framework or a CX tech stack. Mark, you and I have both seen this movie. We know how it ends. Enterprises are interested in it, but it's highly unlikely they're going to go to an outsourcer for that specific service.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why don't we just go straight to the interview and hear what Guillaume has to say?
Sounds good.
Great to get you on the podcast. Now, I think to start off with, why don't you give an introduction to Yuma? Because I know you basically through LinkedIn. I followed a lot of your updates, and you're very positive about the tech-centric future for CX. And probably, I would say, quite negative about the traditional BPO model. But why don't you give an introduction first about what you're doing? What does Yuma AI do?
Yes, thank you, Mark. So first, thank you so much for having me on the show. Very excited to be here today. So I'm Guillaume, the founder and CEO of Yuma. I've been a tech entrepreneur for 15 plus years. And at Yuma, so we're 3 years old, and we were one of the very first company to leverage LLM and AI. First as a copilot for customer service. And we have been basically deploying AI agents since 2023. So we were very early in the game of deploying AI to kind of really try to push automation in CX. And that's what we have been doing with our merchants. We are very focused e-commerce. We're very focused retail and brands that do sell consumer goods, not just e-commerce, but like, let's say, brand that do sell, retail. And we support more than 120 brands. And we help them, automate their CX. And those brands rely on us on a day-to-day for their daily operation. And, automation rates range from, 30% to up to 89% for our top brands. So it's really varies depending on the complexity of their operation, what people want to automate or not. But that's what we've been doing. And we're doing that with the AI agent. And one last thing, and after I stop talking, but the way we see AI automation at the moment is, it's not what it used to be maybe 2 years ago. It's not just Q&A. Hey, I have a question about something. I'm going to go in a knowledge base and give you an answer. No, those AI agents nowadays, they're going to take action. They're going to find information in your CRM and know about the customer, know about the problem. And they're also going to be able to take action and make changes, follow full SOPs. That's what you want from your AI agent, and that's what we deliver.
Okay, that's great. I mean, that's a great introduction. And that leads on to what I wanted to ask you about, because I saw you post on LinkedIn quite recently that you feel the traditional BPO model is effectively broken. What and from your experience, because obviously you've been doing this for a few years now, what you're doing here, and you've been observing the evolution of AI in customer experience. So what do you think then is the biggest sort of single shift or the biggest piece of evidence that proves what you're saying is right, rather than just the kind of hype that we all see around AI?
Yeah. So multiple shifts have been happening, right? So if you tried AI 3 years ago by talking to ChatGPT and felt like it was nice, but it made mistakes and hallucinate a lot, and you haven't checked AI since then, like a lot has changed. Just because the models have been better and better, and all the tech around how to leverage AI, how to use those models have changed enormously. And we have been part of that, and we have been driving, and we've been being on the edge of all of what's possible with AI at Yuma, right? So we are in there and we're building there. But to give you an example, so originally I'm a software engineer. About 6 months ago, and I do still code time like often, and I do produce code, and I was I think a pretty fast coder. 6 months ago, there was a change of paradigm with new models where I don't code anymore. So my job, my day-to-day job as a software engineer has fully changed. I do not write a single line of code. I talk to an AI agent to write the code. Just to give you a sense of how things have shifted and changed. And it is the exact same thing that's happening in many industries. We have learned to leverage and harness those AI, those agents to basically, it's not anymore, here is some information, give me some text back. It's like, here is those information, here is this SOP, here is those connection to those tools, those CRM, and those order, like those anything. And the AI is going to follow your instruction, it's going to follow your SOP, it's going to follow the inquiry from the customer, it's going to have one goal, and it's going to do all of this, and it's going to try to go and achieve the goal. And that's working. And this is just the very beginning, in my, I guess, humble opinion, based on okay, let me take a step back, and I'm going to say something that may be going to be contrarian, but when I started Yuma, I had that dream of, one day we want to be able to automate 100% of customer support, customer service CX. Kind of a dream. I have no idea how to get there. I guess lots of people have tried that. Nobody has achieved it. And, we've been working on that, and still no idea how to get there. And really over the past 6 months now, I think the time frame is not 10 years away, it's like 2 to 3 years away. And I think because we're just witnessing the beginning, the pace at which everything changed is accelerating. And the stuff we can do now is nothing compared to what we're going to be able to do in a few years. And I think fully automated CX, a few years away. And so that's my tech optimist point of view. And so if we go back to the BPO business model, what do you do is at the moment, if you are selling, humans, hours of humans to try to automate that, and all of that is getting automated away by AI.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you comparing the cost of like the traditional human agent model, maybe $4 to $8 per customer interaction, with AI priced in cents. It's under $1, definitely. So, I mean, are you just talking about the pricing comparison? It's cheaper to use AI rather than human agents, or is there a more fundamental change in the way that CX works?
I think it also, so the price is going to be important, right? There is an advantage, obviously, if it's cheaper, there is an advantage of using that. But also AI, I mean, it's unfortunate for us human, right? But like AI AI is just going to work all the time, 24/7. It's going to be faster. It's going to follow an SOP as, as written. There is no turnover. There is no ramp up time. There might be at the moment, but like if in the ideal scenario, right? AI is just going to be working for you. If you want to make a change, you type, you ask for your change, and boom, your whole team of AI agent is updated and in sync, and there is no overhead management of team. It's just like everything is. So there is the cost for sure, but there is just much more than that. And after, if you go further, it's just like if we have all this automation, if all of that's working, well, we can do a lot more. Why not? We can provide better experience to customer, right? In the end, that's what we want to do. Well, every brand want to do that, right? They want to do this at the minimize cost, but at the same time, improve the experience we can bring to customer. But like, no reason why CX cannot just be hyper personalized and just get better. So cost, faster. It's there are no axes I feel where long term I see human having an edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if I was a BPO executive, I would be arguing that all of our services now include AI. We've applied AI to everything that we're doing. But clearly there must be some sort of advantage to being AI native and just coming at this problem without having that kind of legacy of process and systems and everything there. I mean, what is the difference between those two kind of models then?
Okay, so I think both sides are going to be a bit biased here, right? Because if you are tech native, you're a young startup, almost, like you're just starting on the market, you basically don't know anything about the market, and I'm also ignorant on a lot of things that are happening on the market. I have my purview here. Same thing if you're a BPO, a very large BPO, right? You see the market how it is right now. What is your incentive to move? Like, not too much, right? Your business is stable, it's growing. Like, you have no incentive to kind of cannibalize your business by changing it with something else. Like, absolutely zero incentive. Unless if you can project yourself a few years ahead and think like you have no choice but to do that. It's also very hard. Like, humanly, how do you manage that change? It's pretty awful. I mean, to be honest, if you have to deal with that kind of change affecting people's life, right? It is not simple. I don't think I have a good answer here, to be honest. Like, I don't know how you. Okay, so I want to add something here. Actually, you said if I'm a BPO, I'm using AI. But like, I want to challenge that. What does it mean to use AI? Because it seems like, I mean, we see a lot of customer here, and we have clients with a mandate that they need to use AI. And it's coming from the top, and we talk to exec at company that say we need to use AI, and I don't know what that means, right? Like, basically, people just try to inject AI in their operation, and that can be anything. Is using AI a copilot, just giving draft to your agent? Is it giving more intelligence to the agent about being able to summarize ticket, being able to summarize call, what that is? It really depends, right? And I think the problem, and we have seen that with some BPO, is that yes, their customer asking for AI, so they give some AI, but like they want to minimize, they want to just give what's enough, but they don't want to give too much because it cannibalizes their business. So incentive is very torn for everyone here.
Okay, so listening to you talk there, I'm thinking that maybe what you're talking about is the difference between planning customer service interactions. Let's use an example. Let's say I'm a travel company like Expedia. If I'm planning my customer service, then I'm generally going to be planning for customers who've got a problem with a flight or a booking, something like that. But if you're talking about taking a completely AI native approach, then you're designing a relationship with that travel company. That means I love interacting with that travel company, whether I'm just talking about a possible visit to Rome in the future, or I'm actually making a booking. In fact, I just interact with that company in a way that builds a relationship.
Do you think that's the majority of people though? I mean, maybe there are. I mean, I'm sure that there may be some people that want to do that, and I think so there might be something here, right? It doesn't mean AI has to do everything. I think AI is going to be able to do 100% of it. But it doesn't mean you cannot ask to talk to a human, right? The way we built our AI, for example, is at any point, if it doesn't know or if someone asks to talk to a human, the AI is going to remove itself and just transfer to a human. That's 100% of possibility. But I think something that more fundamental here. And when you're a customer and you have a problem, I'm sure you can relate to that. You probably spend some time calling your airline because you want to make a change, and you spend 30 minutes on the phone and nothing happened, or it's just basically a nightmare, even though it got better recently, but still. As a customer, what you want is getting your problem solved, and you want it to be solved fast. And I don't think you care much if it's an AI or a human that's going to solve it. You're going to take the option that's going to solve your problem the fastest, and in the best way that you feel it was fair, and that acknowledge your issue and all of that.
Yeah.
And AI can do that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've seen you commenting on the BPO share price changes as well. Certainly most of the big guys have seen really big drops in the last couple of years. Is that really the market pricing the future of CX, or is there an overreaction to the AI narrative? Because certainly, I would say, especially even in the past few weeks, there has been a correction. But we're talking about maybe like a 90% drop in share price and then a 30% correction.
I think so what the market is doing here is the market, it's about buying a share in future value, right? It is what we expect that company to be valued in X years, right? That's why growth company like Google or all the tech industry always at a very high PE ratio, because people expect those companies to keep scaling and scaling, and that actually have proven true over the past couple of years with the craziness around AI. And I think what's happening here is that and lots of company, by the way, just not BPOs are particularly attacked at the moment, but like it's the same with software like traditional software company are actually attacked at the moment because AI is also disrupting their business. So whatever AI is disrupting at the moment, or maybe disrupting, is going to be underperforming in the stock market. But like if you look at a business like a huge BPO, what is the potential growth where if you bet that AI is going to replace most of that in the next few years, it just makes sense. The business is going to shrink, especially as okay, so there is two bets right there, right? There is a bet that AI is going to automate, and the bet that AI is going to make managing customer service CX way cheaper, faster, more efficient, cheaper, right? So that means like just the bottom line of those business will go down. Like even if they do the same service, like how are they going to be able to charge that much, have that much margin, right? Especially without the human component. So there is that, and the other factor is that software is and that's outside CX. It's just software is being commoditized at the moment. Everyone is building like crazy just because, as I mentioned earlier, like there is a fundamental shift on how you build software at the moment, and it's happening. And companies can just start cranking up features and building things like crazy, right? So the competition is eating up. And so there may be companies that want to internalize or do this themselves, or just there will be more competition, more companies trying to do what BPOs are doing, like us, I guess. And just the model itself is being priced out, saying like there is no future in that model. It doesn't mean the stock market is not always right, but it is what the majority is thinking at the moment that's what's happening.
1,000 customer interactions per day, and I'm pricing my service to my client based on that kind of interaction. And the contract is being renewed in 2027. Isn't that client going to turn around and say, you're charging me for an enormous contact center when I know you could be automating this?
Yeah, sorry, I missed you cut out at the beginning of the question, Mark. But I think the question is about renewal. What's gonna happen? Like those BPOs, you often have multi-year contract, and they're gonna expire. I think like customer are already asking to see AI. Customer are looking at the price of inference, so the price of running AI probably going down. Like the price of intelligence is just gonna keep going down over time. Those models are gonna get faster, better, cheaper over time. That's a given. That's just how technology works. And so as a customer, you should expect to get just better service, cheaper, faster, right? That's how technology works, right? So like if you don't get that, why would you renew your contract at the same price? Like it's just like it doesn't make sense, right? Especially as you see all your competitors that are adopting AI that are getting their CX more efficiency for the CX, right? So I think that's 100% happening. What we see in the industry is that everyone's asking for AI. I mean, some level of AI being incorporated. Like I think there's just no choice. So yes, there will be, and I think that if we go back to the stock market, that's likely what the stock market's pricing, right? There will be renewal, there will be people that are going to leave, they're going to use other solutions, they're going to automate more of that. It's going to happen.
So what separates the survivors from the casualties then? I mean, in the BPO market, because I've seen even you saying not every BPO is going to vanish.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. We have been surprised in the past about company we thought were, dying or dead or and they just come back, right? Like Intel, for example, is a good example of that. We thought they were like kind of dying and dead, and then boom, they're doing a bounce back because they signed a bunch of deals recently. Few things. So I think BPOs, I mean, the large one, they are still cash machine in a sense, so they have ways to buy themselves out of that potentially. Like if they do act and like plan years out, and I'm sure they're doing that, right? They know their business model is going to have to change. They know they're going to have to adapt or die. They have resources right now to do that. It's just like, how do you do that when you are, when you have 100,000 employee and you need to manage that change or more, right? It's just going to be a huge challenge. It's going to be slow. It's going to be like complex, right? So I think, and that type of turnaround is not easy and often fail. So can they do it? I don't know, right? It seems like maybe some of them are going to be able to do it. Some of them are not going to be able to do that. There is something that, okay, so they have the cash. So if they use that properly and do this change management over time over the next couple of years, because it's going to change fast, maybe they can turn around if they really want, if they're okay to reinvent their business, right? If they're not stuck on saying, I'm not believing AI is going to come, because I think people are just going to take, I think lots of people don't really understand what's happening with AI and how it changed the game and what AI can do now that, couldn't do a year ago or 2 years ago. Like it's really not the same. So if they are realistic about what the AI capabilities and where AI is going, like I think they're gonna make a change. The other optimistic stuff I think for them potentially is back to the software change, right? Software is easier to build now. So and those companies have internal software team, right? It's possible they build, I mean, it's not easy, but it's possible they also build great AI tool and can leverage that. And but it's, again, they need to have the same incentive that is it okay for us to build an AI that's going to automate most of the work we're doing versus the people we have in the team, right? So like if it's a trade-off that's not easy to do, but they can do that, and we see, and we do work with smaller BPOs, but we do work with a bunch of BPOs that are shifting into AI manager in a sense, right? They provide the AI, they can manage the AI, they can do the setup. AI is still is going to change. It is changing, but AI is still complicated to set up, right? There is a lot of resources you need to put into in terms of SOP and processes building, the knowledge base, all of that. You need to have good structure there, and it takes time. And so not all companies, I mean, it's possible company won't still want to do that in the future, and they will need help and expert doing that, because it is doing CX, and that is just it's real work. There is a lot going on there. It's not easy. And so we see BPO shifting into that, offering obviously the human component when it's needed, but also the AI and assistance and how you build your CX, your processes, what do you need to do, how you build all those things that are just not solving ticket, but all those things that goes around and defining all of that there is value there.
Yeah, and I guess that's exactly what I was going to ask you next. Was most of the time we're just comparing the interaction, the point between a brand and the customer, and we're comparing, what's the cost of a human agent doing that or a software agent, and yet BPOs are managing compliance, regulation, banking, data security, global operations in multiple languages. I can't even imagine, for a retailer like Decathlon, we're operating across 100 different countries and dozens of languages. Are we overestimating how easy it is to replace what the BPOs are doing?
I think in some parts, yes, it's easy on one side if you don't see that complexity to underestimate. It's just like the first time when I started building Yuma at the very beginning, I was like, oh, it's going to be easy. And you get into the problem and you feel like, okay, it's much larger than, it is. So it's always like that from any industry where you look from the side, you feel that seems easy. And when you get into it, it's much harder. Though I think, what you're saying is true, but I think it's dismissing the fact that every single industry is being disrupted by AI. So, banking, finance, legal, all of those is also adopting AI. So all those things we mentioned on top of just, okay, so CX is not just solving customer inquiries and tickets. There is all the things around it, but all the things around it are also being impacted by AI. And all of those things are also, seriously getting automated away as well. So it's not just solving tickets. Yes, there is like expertise to bring on all the rest, as you say, for large corporation that have to deal with many countries, many languages, like complex operation. There is like, it's not an easy task. But at the same time, AI is coming on all of those.
So, would you say then that we're seeing processes, things like risk management, data governance, cloud planning, industry-specific knowledge. So all of these kind of things become much more important than just that, solving a ticket. So, does it mean that the role of the BPO becomes maybe more like a management consultant, and systems integrator? They have the knowledge of the industry, they know how the processes should work, but they're not necessarily just selling headcount anymore. They're selling a solution.
Yeah, that I think I agree with. Right? It's the with AI, the way I view it is everything is gonna go higher level, right? So the work the work you do day to day is getting automated. Like if I take my example as software engineer, automated away, went one level up, right? But I don't know what's gonna happen in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years. It's all inevitably gonna go one level up and one level up. It's gonna keep getting higher, right? So as the BPO has this role, I think, as a expert know about the field. I need to coordinate all of those things, and I'm the orchestrator. I think that view makes sense. But I think, being an expert at doing the day-to-day and managing like, human labor, probably not.
Okay, let's just wrap up then, just with a sort of hypothetical question, because if I'm thinking about what happened kind of 20 years ago with offshore outsourcing, everybody from banks to telecoms companies, they put all of their customer service over in places like India and the Philippines. And then all of the customers in Europe started saying, no, we want our calls to be answered by people more locally. So something that was technically possible was rejected by the customers. So now, do you think that we could possibly see that being taking place again, in that, I don't want a sales call coming from a robot, outbound sales, for example. And I don't want to call up my insurance company and get answered by some sort of automated voice, So will we see maybe a sort of consumer reaction, and a demand for human interaction with brands, or do you think that it's literally just down to how fast am I going to get served?
Yeah, I think it varies by brand. There are some brand that need their identity, like luxury brand or else that want to give that special touch. You're not going to change that, most likely. But like even if a lot of consumer were against that, offshoring, like it still happened, right? We still did it because it was the thing to do in terms to be cost efficient, and that's like, if it's just more, if we can give customers better service at a cheaper price, and it's just overall just going to be better, it's just going to happen. That's, if as a brand you're not doing it, your competitor is going to do it, and it's just going to increase your margin, and you're screwed. So like, I see it's going to happen. I think we might still have, for some brand or some specific case, like the right to talk to a human, or the need to talk to human, of course. That's likely going to be there. But again, I think customer want their problem to be solved most of the time, not really care who's going to solve it. And there are two things I want to add. I think as you said, like, I think for India and Philippines and other countries that are big on offshoring like that for services, like I think it's going to be fairly brutal over the next few years, right? Like there is no, I think we have to say that, like there is no other way around it. And to go back on the sales call, so the thing is, like, nobody wants cold call. You know, you don't receive, like, I don't know how many every day I receive, but like I don't answer, right? And it's just like nobody wants to receive sales cold call. So there are either those being human or AI, nobody wants them. So, but customer service is different because you have a problem and you need a solution, right? So
Yeah.
It's kind of other way around. But I'm with you on, yeah.
All right. Let me just throw in a final point there then as well, because what you just said, there's a lot of countries across Africa that are really hoping that BPO will be a driver of job creation, because they're thinking about a lot of human agents are needed. Do you think that's like an idea that may only have a couple of years of life left in it then?
If I have, so yes, but I think it's more profound than that, right? Like I don't know what my daughters are gonna do when they grow up. Like I think AI is the world is on the verge of a fundamental shift that's gonna take us by storm. It's like another industrial revolution that's gonna go way faster, deeper. It's gonna be like that than it went for in the past. Like in the previous industrial revolution, it took a decade to change, and here it's happening so much faster. And so yes, we're gonna have that. There will be an employment problem for those countries, that's for sure, but not just for those, I mean everywhere. I do think it's gonna change a lot. And it's really, I cannot tell you which way it's gonna go, with like how quickly we're gonna create new job and how things are gonna adapt, but I think there will be a change, that's for sure.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. We really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. You can reach myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan via LinkedIn. Please also leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast provider, as that helps more people to find us. As always, we'd like to thank Chris Haig at Traction Media for the CX Files graphics. See you next week.